Ah Oui Chef podcast, episode 5. Today I am joined by
Jimmy Ophorst from Pro Restaurant in Phuket. But this time he said, okay guys, I think we're gonna stop it. We go to Thailand. I ended up in Geneva. That is the first time in my life I felt homesick. So after 1 week I walked out.
she's gonna give me shit for this.
So I didn't speak English, so that was already
You
great.
didn't speak
No,
English?
when I came to Thailand, hello, how are you? That's it. And then you come as a European guy in Thailand. So you have a lot of nights crying at home.
This exactly is my point.
I have some pretty terrible things happening with my wife.
No way.
But there were days, like 4 or 5 days in a row, I was sitting like this. Okay, guys, 9 o'clock, no guest. Let's go.
As a Phuket boy, it was a weird sensation. Because growing up in Phuket, if you had told me one day that we would have a Michelin-starred restaurant in Phuket, I'd be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I was 7 months after Michelin. I was somewhere on the side of the road because I was almost burnt out. This story I never share with anybody else.
I was so surprised that you did. I was never gonna ask.
I think people need to understand that.
The fact that you're sharing that, I really appreciate it. The biggest enemy I had was... Okay, guys, welcome to the AOC podcast, Ah Oui Chef podcast, episode 5. Today I am joined by, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for having me over here. It's a great pleasure.
It's an honor, man. It really is.
So yeah, I'm Jimmy Ophorst from Pro Restaurant in Phuket. I had the opportunity to meet Chef Top, I think 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And always feel very inspired and very pleased by your story. So I'm very glad we can share a table here today.
So the word that you used just now, story, like a lot of people have mentioned that the way that I write on Instagram and the way that I post about and because I'm a very deep person, I feel like I'm very thoughtful and I feel like I respect the industry and our line of work so much that, like, for example, when I go for a meal, and there's like 12, 13, 14 restaurants that I've never made a post about yet. And not because like I didn't like the meal. It's just I want to make sure that when I do make the post, I do the chef the honor to really dissect it, go through it, and tell them how I feel. And tell the world what I think of the meal. And it's never like from a negative feedback or anything. It's just like, I feel like people put so much care.
To be honest, last year I bought a professional coffee machine myself at home, so I can just
Nice.
I'm lazy to go outside or just downstairs I open a coffee machine.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I just feel like there is so much underneath every dish, every restaurant. And when I make a post about it, because I know, like, even my wife, she tells me like, oh, why haven't you posted about this restaurant that you ate 6 months ago? I'm like, I haven't had time to like dig deep. Like I've been to Botong, I went to eat at Gerard's place, and all these places. Like I had the new menu with Riley, and I haven't really had time because I feel like I get so overwhelmed when I think about the work that people put behind a menu, the dish. And obviously it is never from a negative point of view. I just feel like the only thing that I can do as a fellow Conrad and as a fan of fine dining is to make sure that when I do post about it, I really dissect it. I really think it through and I really, really put into words. It's like my love language, putting into words of something. And it's something that I genuinely love doing. I love storytelling. Not storytelling as in like a gimmicky formal way to increase sales or whatever. I love storytelling from like a passionate, because there are stories that should be told. And I think, and this is why I started this podcast. When you asked me earlier, what was the Kickstarter? First of all, like I've been asked to do a lot of podcasts with a lot of other people. And I feel like the host, because it's what it is, right? It's unscripted. Like I didn't give you any questions. I didn't prepare you. I just said, Jim, can I please have an hour and a half of your time? Let's go to the studio. Let's talk, get to know each other and, and record it. And I think it's interesting enough to share. And that's it. And for me, it started off with when I see people, especially media, it's quite scripted. They always almost have an end goal about what they want out of you as an interviewer. And they always ask questions because they know they kind of want to feed you questions that they want to have the answer to.
They just,
you know what I mean? And when you feel that, you feel you have a wall come up because as it becomes PR, it becomes fake, becomes scripted. Not scripted in the sense that it's word for word or you're reading from a teleprompter. Scripted that you kind of know what they want you to say. You know what I mean? And I hate that because I feel like it's unorganic, it's not creative, and it's not real. You know what I mean?
It's very funny because some people in my company, you want to do media training, and say, I can, but then I'm exactly going to say, what do people want to hear me to say.
Mm.
But you know, since I was very young, I'm a straightforward guy, and
Yeah.
if okay, maybe I use a little bit less swearing, and I just tell you a little bit in a nice way. But it is what you get, right?
Yeah.
And that's who made the people different.
And I think that is the beauty. The beauty is that you need to accept that everyone is just trying their best to do
Yeah.
what they can, what they believe that are aligned with their values. And it's okay to you know to have overlapping and different opinions for a lot of things. And I think when people, the sooner they realize that, the sooner that everyone will be in a happier place. So going back to the reason I've been asked to do a few podcasts, and I've never really had an interest because I feel like the host won't ask the right questions.
Okay.
And to be fair, so Chris Mennings, he is the owner of Gastronomic Lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know Chris.
I never met him personally, but
So he's from the UK. So him and I we started talking way back when he first moved here in Thailand. You
Yeah.
know, I'm obviously British. I have a British passport, and so he got in touch. I was still, I think we just opened Mia. It was still the a la carte concept, and you know I was like very curious. It was like this young guy who used to work in London. His training was mainly from bars. He's super passionate about telling stories. And I'm like,
Okay.
what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm starting a media company. I'm like, wow, super ambitious.
Yeah.
So it's just this dude with his laptop. And then he grew Gastronomic Lifestyle into an online platform that grew and grew and then became like an actual print. And he got funding to create a proper company for it.
Yeah.
And he made beautiful magazines. Michelle, Chef Tam and Chef Pam were on the first cover.
Okay.
And then, you know, like, and to do print in this day and age is like really difficult. Obviously during COVID, media, everyone suffered, but media I think was they really, and he was a one-man show. So he asked me to do a podcast way back because he has already done one for the bar and it's super successful. It's called Behind the Bar Back Podcast.
Okay.
And then he started to do one for the kitchen. So I think it was sponsored by San Pellegrino, Acapana, and then he did a few chefs and a few industry people. And then he realized that he wasn't really asking the right questions for chefs. If I'm a sommelier sitting here and you're asking a sommelier with a tech designer, it's two different things.
Yeah.
And if I'm a chef and I'm asking, if I'm a chef and a GM of a hotel standing there from Accor, we're not on the same language, you know. So and he was very curious, and I knew that it sounded very interesting. But as you said, for me to be a fine dining chef, to put myself out there, to be a host of a podcast and then talk about it, I felt very uncomfortable. I was like, is it going to be bad for my business? How will people think?
Yeah.
You know, is it arrogant? When we first talked about it, Mia didn't have a star. So I was okay because I was like, oh, you know, it's just a random dude talking about it. Me sitting here, I'm not sitting as a managing partner of Mia. I'm sitting here as a fan of fine dining.
Yeah.
For the respect and love I have for the industry, for all fine dining chefs. Secondly, as an eater, as a fan, as someone who consumes fine dining as much as they can that their wallet would allow. I've always said no because I was worried about what people would think, about what Michelle would think, you know, what Julian, my business partner, and Mia, how would it be. And then unfortunately, Chris, he got ill and then he passed away.
Yeah.
So when he passed away, I felt extremely sad.
Yeah.
Because it was, you know, all the worries I had before starting the podcast with him. I was like, that's so stupid. You know, it was regret's not the right word. It was more like, and I don't want to use his death to be the cornerstone of this podcast, but I would be lying if I said that the reason I didn't take the jump, because it's all about taking the jump, right?
Yeah.
Into the unknown. And to put something out there that you may get judged for. You know, I know that every episode, whether there's 10 people watching, 100,000 people watching, commenting, I know that there'll be negatives. I know that they'll pick sections of what you say on the internet and be like, I can't believe this dude said that. And it's always out of context. But I know that in my heart, I'm just here having a conversation with people that I admire and I respect in the industry and telling their stories, you know, giving them a platform to do it.
But it's also very important to actually basically not really care what other people think.
Exactly. It really put a lot of shit in perspective when something like that happens. And he was, you know, and the personal touch for me was that he had the exact identical cancer that my younger brother had.
Okay.
And that's why when he got ill, we were in talks, you know, because he knew that my brother went through the same thing, and you know, we were talking about like doctor recommendations and stuff like this. I wasn't even in town when he passed. I was in KL. I was in Kuching doing an event in Michelle's hometown, and then when I got the news, honestly, we were just about to go into service. 220 people in a kitchen we've never cooked in before, already stressed, already like on edge.
Yeah.
And then I literally get a message from someone in Bangkok saying that Chris has just passed an hour before service. I can tell you, like, it was a shit feeling. I did service that day. I don't remember anything.
No.
I know that we got through.
Yeah.
Michelle made sure of that, and she was so amazing that day. But it was and it was a big deal for her. It was the first time she was cooking in her hometown.
In Malaysia.
Not even just in Malaysia, but in her hometown in Kuching. You know, and she was like coming back as like a celebrity and all this, and it was a lot of pressure on her. And obviously the hotel did their best, but it was like in one of the venues that they've never done that many people.
Yeah.
That was a rough day. So when I came back, I promised myself I would do whatever it took.
Continue his legacy.
But yeah, continue his love for storytelling. Continue and share the hidden quirks of what makes chefs and everyone else in the industry do what they do.
Yeah.
Because on paper, it's the worst fucking job in the world.
Yeah.
You get paid peanuts. You work for fucking 10, 15 years and you may not make it in terms of like how you define success and making it. You know, there is very little forgiveness in our industry, and it's grueling. You put your body on the line, you put your mental health on the line, everything else takes a back seat. And that's why I feel like this podcast is that. It's a bubble for chefs who are probably not comfortable enough to talk to random people, but to talk to a fellow chef who, you know, has been through what they have through, and obviously very, very different ways of getting there, but they share the same kind of like understanding. And that's what I want this podcast to be about. People to share things that they wouldn't otherwise share, raw, real, unscripted. And hopefully, you know, the most important thing is I want to show it to viewers who are up and young coming chefs for the next generation. They know that they're not alone. And the great thing about this podcast is I feel like it fits a lot of different stages. You could be a commie or an intern right now, just leaving school and not sure. Fuck, I'm so shit at my job. Is this a real career path? Or someone who's a CDP becoming a sous chef for the first time in their career, and they have to manage people. Instead of doing a section where you do everything yourself, you're now in charge of 3 commies. And you don't know what they're going to do. And letting go of that control. And exactly, right? And then worse, you become like a corporate chef, and then you have to choose between an independent restaurant, or you will cook in a cruise, or, you know, like how far does the line of fine dining goes? And secondly, just someone who's starting their own business, who actually has a financial burden. So you know, the 4 guests I've had on so far, we talked about different stages of everyone's career, everyone's mentality, but the thing that I want to talk about most is this podcast has actually very little to do with cooking. Yeah. We never talk about techniques, seasoning. We do, it comes up here and there, but for me, it's about the person you need to become to be the chef that you want to be. Yeah. The mental, like, you know, like you said, you know, walking in the morning, the mental release. Yeah. For me, it was yoga. I found yoga only like 2 years ago. Only 2 years ago. And it was my walking, because I have ADHD. I get very like, I think a lot of chefs are without being diagnosed. It's what makes them really good, you know, like always on the go, always like what's next. Yeah. And for me, yoga really makes me focus on just stretching. Like you walking, you know, it just
it's the same.
The next step.
It clear your mind. Yeah. But I think it's, you know, nowadays we see a lot of problems with the new generation, right? So I think maybe this give an insight. Okay, guys, it's tough, but you know, if you get there, it's one of the most rewarding jobs. Right?
It absolutely is. And so on the first episode, I talked about my own journey, how I didn't know I was going to be a chef. Like Michelle and I are very opposites. She always knew from the age of like 9 that she wanted to be a chef.
Oh yeah.
She was a fucking overachiever at school. She got grade A's. She was a president of like 3 clubs. I failed at everything I did at school. I didn't finish anything. You know,
that's why you always piss her off.
Yeah, that's why it's like, you know, 2 people fucking like meeting each other, and like, you know, the great thing about it, like life, there is no right or wrong. Everyone has their own journey. So let's talk about your career start. Did you always knew that you wanted to be a chef?
No.
No?
I found out pretty early, but until I was 15, I had no idea what I want to do. Yeah. I had no idea. My mom just told me, just make sure you do something you like. Don't do something you don't like. But you have to get a bachelor degree, or at least you need to finish university, and that's all. The rest after that is up to you.
Oh yeah? So you actually went to uni?
No, I didn't do uni. I did hotel school.
Okay.
That's it. But my neighbor had a small cafeteria. So we had to do like the first internship in your life. Yeah. 1 week. So I went, I knocked on his door because I didn't find anything, of course. So tomorrow the internship start. Can I just start with you? Yeah, okay. So I was cleaning pork ribs. And then it felt nice. The pressure. I perform under pressure.
Yeah. So do I.
So I think that was nice. And then I had to pick a school. Okay, let's go hotel school. So hotel school is pretty wide, right? So you can still choose a lot of things. First time I step in the kitchen, I didn't know rice. I could not boil water, nothing. So okay, leave this behind. I go check the front of house. But you know, you have to talk with people. I'm not good at that. So go back to the kitchen. So then, you know, more and more I was in the kitchen. And I felt okay. It was comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, you're behind closed the doors. Nobody can see you. If you swear, it's okay. You know, so I found like my comfort was in there. Of course, I could put a lot of work. I like to work hard, so we can put in that your creativity. But I wasn't the most talented one at school.
Neither was I. Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and then I started working after the cafeteria. I started working in a steakhouse, and I love the pressure. 200 covers every night.
Oh, yes.
You know, yes, chef.
The first time you go into a busy restaurant, I
Yes.
think that is when you really see the crazy madhouse.
Yeah, and I think I would recommend that for everyone.
You need to do it.
Yeah.
If you only do fine dining, and if you start off as a stagiaire, as a 3-star, and you only do fine dining all your life,
Yeah, you don't-
you haven't seen 90% of the restaurant world. Fine dining is, people forget that even though it takes up the most media coverage and it takes up the most attention in terms of, like, you know, people write about it, people talk about it, which is unfair because I feel like and that's probably like what's wrong with like the media. When you correlate media attention to the effort and people put, it's not fair at all.
No,
but it's just the way the world works, because it's, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But as a chef, if you never works in a busy bistro, you're missing out. It's like such a high. It's such a high. So, and like you said, you know, when you first see it, you're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is
Because
this?
I really learned head down.
Yes.
Doesn't matter, it's 15, 16, 20 hours, it doesn't matter, head down, and
You learn to work.
you need to get it done.
Yeah.
And you have lunch 200 and you have dinner 200.
Yeah.
Right? So that's I found this was a very good setup, and actually grow very fast in the kitchen. So I think when I was 17, they offered me to become the sous chef, and I said, okay, now my guys, I think it's time for the next step. So then I moved to fine dining. In the same time, I did a private chef school, because I had only a hotel school, but I didn't have my chef's certificates. So I did that.
Do you need that in Holland?
If I didn't have that, I would not allow to work in Thailand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I have my chef level 2, 3, 4.
Wow. Wow.
So I did that. I did that in the same time, and then I started working in fine dining, and it was actually better and better. I think first 6 months, okay, you shit. So everything goes in the garbage bin. You shit. Okay. So from one place where everything was amazing to a new place, starting from a senior level, going back to becoming.
Yeah.
It was not easy, but that is where you learn. If it's not one by one.
I think a lot of young chefs I went through it. You know, when you leave your old place and you're like, I remember leaving Gautier Soho. And this is still by far today the most humbling experience I've ever had in my life. So because I worked with the same chef just at 2 different restaurants the first 3 years of my life, Carlos Alex Gautier.
Yeah.
One was in a hotel. That was my first job ever. I was there for I think almost 2 years or a bit, not exactly sure. And then I went to open fine dining restaurant.
Yeah.
Even though I did a stint at Roussillon for a little bit, it wasn't long. But Gautier Soho was like the first fine dining, but it was under the same chef. So the way that they cook, everything was the same, just more detail, better ingredients, cleaner, sharper.
Yeah.
But the style of food and organization was the same. So even though it was fine dining, it was not really a different restaurant. And we got a star within 6 months. I was on the sauce. I was like 19. My head was the size of Russia. You know, it was like I'm the best chef in the fucking world.
Yeah,
you know, like it was so bad. And then when I moved to the next one, which was Jun Tanaka, so he's not really. He was very famous in the UK because he was one of the few Asian chefs who was Marco Pio White sous chef.
Yeah.
He worked at the Gavroche, Nico Landa. He worked at all the 3-star Michelin that was before my time. So I was like, instead of working at the restaurants that I wanted to work, I would work with someone who worked at all the restaurants that I wanted to work. It made sense. And the fact that he's Japanese born, so he grew up in the UK, but he's Japanese. For me, it really resonated with me. So I went to work there. Oh my God, if I look back on my first 3 months at the Pearl, I don't think I would have any friends. I was such a cocky little shit, man. And the way that they work is very different to Gautier.
Yeah.
It was like you had to weigh stuff. Gautier, we didn't have a scale.
Okay.
There was no scale. Everything was cooking like by touch. I think there was only one scale, and that was in the bakery area for the bread. That was it. You know, everything was by, and you learn how to cook.
Yeah.
And then you switch from like learning how to cook there to Jun, had recipes. It was structured. It was a fucking sous chef for a 3-star Michelin.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot more layers, and it was like double the amount of team. Go to Soho, we had 6 in the kitchen. Jun, we had 14. It was like the first big fine dining kitchen. So the switch from like, and it was just like you said, different style of working. Oh my, I struggled so, and it was my ego. The biggest enemy I had was my own ego.
Okay.
I was like, how did I go from fucking, you know, being the number 3 in the kitchen, and the worst thing is the Pearl back then didn't have a star.
Okay.
It was in a hotel.
Yeah.
It was like, I think the food was definitely 1 star, more than 1 star, in my opinion. I think I had a few issues with consistency because it was a 90, 80 seater restaurant, but also it was in a hotel that had the same dining room was served for the breakfast.
Okay.
It's where the Rosewood is now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But I always, because I came from a 1 star, going to a restaurant that didn't have a star, the little shit that I was, I looked down on everyone there. I was like,
yeah.
And honestly, it's still to this day the most embarrassing career phase of my life.
Okay.
Because I went there so close-minded. I was like, I come from a 1 star. This is where the starring hierarchy, it's so delusional because it's not real. It's not real. And so many young chefs, and we all go through it, right? I feel like so many young chefs, they, like for example, if someone interned at a 3-star, but they intern, and then they put it on their CV, and then they go to a busy like bistro, they fucking get their ass handed to them. And that's what happened to me at the Pearl. I got my ass fucking handed to me. I went down like a sack of shit completely. Because it was in a hotel. First time I worked in a hotel. First and last time as well. The cold room was like on the other side of the building. So if you get fucking 1 lemon, you're fucked. You have to like fucking run to the other side of the building to get 1 fucking lemon, you know? It was the biggest learning curve. And honestly, I learned so much about myself there. And it was those moments in life that you get so embarrassed. And Jun, you know, he was an absolutely, the whole team there was really nice. They were, honestly, I would have fired me.
Oh yeah?
They started at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was hardcore. It was like fucking, like, it was, you know, it was like really hardcore. We started at 7 o'clock in the morning. I had just moved my apartment, so I lived in zone 6. So I had to leave the house at 5:30. And it was, I was very arrogant. I wanted somewhere by the sea. It was fucking on commie salary. So the only place that you can get like a river view was you live in like zone 6. Further from Mia now to Suvarnabhumi. It's like, and you had to go by public transport, right? So stupid. So I did that, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. I can't live on 3.5 hours sleep.
No.
But yeah, like you said, you know, and I think a lot of chefs need to hear it because you will go through that.
You have to go through that.
You have to go through that. And the thing is, you don't be delusional about a restaurant that is making headlines and ones that don't. The ones that normally don't make a headline and the ones that are busy and successful that you don't hear about, they're the hardest ones.
And they're the best learning schools.
Learning schools. Like you said, for my volume was definitely Priory Bay. It was seasonal. We did 150, 160 for lunch. No, we did 80 for breakfast, 160 for lunch every day, and then afternoon tea was like 30. And then we had fucking high tea, which is for kids. That was like another 30. And then we had dinner, which is like the fine dining and the bistro. So together, maybe 200 covers. 45 in the fine dining. 150, 140 for the, you know.
Oh shit.
Oh my god. Fucking like.
But how long you survived there?
Oh, that was I did there a while. I was 2 years there.
Okay.
But the problem is it's only busy like that for 6 months of the year.
Okay.
The other 6 was very slow. Like during winter when it snowed, the hotel was empty. Like the whole week. So it wasn't like every day. Like it was, and very seasonal. But I really learned how to work. You know, really you have speed, and
but it's good because nowadays it's right? The new kids on the block.
The problem with and I feel like the association is that people don't talk about it when you go to culinary institutions in Thailand. I don't know. I've never been one, so I'm not here to judge. Will the teacher and will the students, do you have someone to guide you? Be like, by the way, guys, I know that all the Michelin-starred restaurants in Thailand, they look amazing. But if you really want to be a chef and you really are serious about it, go work in a busy place. You know, go work in a busy bistro. Go work in a shopping mall where there's fucking 8 people and you have to feed 600 covers. Like, at least do that for a little bit. So you really learn.
I think that's the point, that it's leaking on the education. And maybe the education must be great. But because I have no idea. But it's one of the reasons, when I get a little bit older, this is one of the reasons I want to make a non-profit school. Okay, guys, you don't have money, you want to learn. That's the way we go.
It sounds like an amazing idea.
Yeah,
And
because there are few. Like we work with how it's called NTC or something in Mae Hong Son. It's also a non-profit school, but they take only kids who don't. The family don't have the financial support to send them to school, so they take them on, and we take them as trainee. And those are the most amazing trainees I ever had, because they put their head down, because they come from nothing.
This exactly is my point. The people who come, and I'm not trying to cast a blanket over the generation in the background, because it would be unfair. It's not their fault.
That's true.
Like you said, to have someone who has gone through it, and look, I really do feel like, and we're not sitting here being like we know everything. We're at the beginning of our journey as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We're still learning. And this is the emphasis of this podcast. I cannot stress enough. Like I said in the first episode, because I know that people will start judging. Like I'm an expert at nothing. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not even a like the world leading chef. I'm like, I know nothing. And I'm okay with that. It's just where we are now in life, and it may change in 5 years' time and whatever, and our point of view will change within months. Within a year, your point of view of stuff changes because things change in the world.
Yeah.
People who come from nothing, they're definitely more like appreciative, and they push harder. And it's but how do you get that? How do you get someone who is growing up in a comfortable family who has stuff, and then you put them through the miller, and then they just get shredded, and they're like, do you think it's the person's fault? Or I mean, like, it's hard to point the blame as well.
I think there's nobody to blame, but I think it's the way of growing up.
I think you need to be aware. It's like if you're born into a rich family, you can't blame that you're born into a rich family. But you need to be aware that what you have is this. And you didn't earn it. You were born into it. And for people who don't have anything, they're willing to work much harder to get to that.
I have a son myself, right? So he's 5.5. But I need to make sure for myself, okay, this is the way it is. You get 1 week, you get 100 baht, 50 baht go in the piggy bank, another 50 baht you go to 7-Eleven. If you want to spend 51 baht, cannot, right? I think that is the basics. And I think nowadays, the people, they don't really understand the value of money, the kids.
No.
And it's where it starts. When I was 11, I want to buy a football. There's the neighbor who cut the grass. That's how I've been growing up, right?
Yeah. It really is a different world.
And of course, it's different because nowadays you can get everything everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a change in life where everybody goes through.
So you started the fine dining restaurant.
Yeah.
You worked there, and then what happened after?
So and then so we I think in 2012 the business was going down a bit. So the owner decided, okay, guys, we're going to close the restaurant.
Yeah. How was that? Because people don't talk about that enough, I think.
So when I was working in that restaurant, it was already went bankrupt once.
Okay.
So then they did a restart, and then it was going to an end. It was normally in summer we did pop up on the beach. That was for 6 months, and then the other 6 months we did the hotel. Was together. But this time we said, okay, guys, I think we're gonna stop it. We go to Thailand. We have a project there. Okay. Sounds good. So that is when I first time get into Trisara. So I was the owner of the restaurant from the Netherlands who had connections in Thailand, and we were going to help them to set up a restaurant. Me and 2 other chefs from the same place. So that's how I actually came to Thailand. It was never planned. It was two weeks before. We said, okay, in 2 weeks we go to Thailand, go to the embassy, get your visa, and then we go. So I did that. Didn't work out very well, so I went back after 3 months. And then I think somehow the management enjoyed me being there, so they asked me to come back. And that's...
Was that restaurant ever opened?
Yeah, it was opened. So, and actually, so they opened it. I left. One other chef continued to doing that, so he left after that. So they asked me to do another high season there. That was 2013. So I did high season in the same restaurant there. And then was high season period only. So low season, I spent a few months at Gagan.
You were at Gagan?
Yeah, back in 2014.
Wow!
Yeah. So
2014. Oh, wow, the heydays.
Yeah, like in the old place when it was still very small.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. I saw a whole different perspective of how to run a restaurant.
So you were there, Ryder was obviously there.
Ryder was there, Sergey was there.
Sergey was there. Garima was there yet? No,
No, Garima was before Garima's time.
before Garima's time.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah,
So there were, I think, only 10 people in the kitchen.
because they got number one, what, 2016?
Yeah, that time they were just, when I started, they were just number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah, and I think it was the best time of Gaga. The meal I had that time was still today one of the best meals I had. It was very good, very interesting. Also, I was young, you know. I think it was 23 or 24. But the whole environment, it was like a family. It was so different than what it is now. Like it was very interesting to see, and you know, I wanted to learn something there. Not about cooking, but about, you know, how a Indian guy coming to Thailand, run number 3 restaurant in Asia. So that was interesting to see. I didn't took anything of his cooking whatsoever with me, but it was interesting to see how we do it. So I did that for 3 months, and then on a sunny day, I ended up in Geneva and Mandarin Oriental. But that is the first time in my life I felt homesick. So after 1 week, I walked out.
You walked out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. First time in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Geneva.
Mandarin Oriental
in Italy.
Geneva.
Geneva.
No, Geneva in Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland, Geneva.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting
So
okay.
that was but I had to make money because I was my bank account was flat. So okay, this was a nice offer. Switzerland, they pay well.
Yep.
I could be a sous chef in Mandarin Oriental. I think it's maybe good for my resume. But yeah, unfortunately, you make decisions sometimes that don't work out.
No.
Yeah, and then on the day that I decided I'm gonna quit, Trisara called me. Can you come back on full time? So I take my bag. I say, chef, thank you very much. I'm gonna leave first, go to airport, back Amsterdam, take my bag, stuff in Holland, fly to Thailand.
So what year was that? 2015?
14. Yeah.
14.
So I started Trisara 2014. Officially.
What a journey.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning.
We need to extend this for another 6 hours, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, that was because then the real
job.
the real world started. You know,
The real work. Yeah.
I'm a Dutch guy. I didn't speak English.
How old are you now, Jim?
I'm 35.
Okay, so you're 1 year older than me. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't speak English. So that was already.
You didn't speak
No,
English?
when I came to Thailand, hello, how are you? That's it.
What?
Yeah. And because I'm,
This is what I mean. I don't think people, no journalist can be like, did you speak English when you started? And this is the kind of information that is, it's really important to share because there will be another, not the same, but there will be someone else who is going to be listening to this. I mean, like, fuck. Jim fucking went to Phuket. Fucking didn't speak any English with all the struggles he had. And, look where he is now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I want it to be almost like a seed of reassurance for viewers. Whether they're, like I said, different stages. An intern who's just leaving school and not sure. Should I get a bachelor's degree? Should I just go stage? Someone leaving the school for the first time. Should I work in fine dining? Should I do a high-end bistro? Should I go to a hotel? What are the benefits? What are the, no one really talks about that.
No.
And then like when you get like, you've done 6 years of fine dining, what should I do next?
Yeah.
Do I go, and like for me, example, like the reason I left London, and this reverts to the thing that we was like when you're talking about the school, and this sounds so arrogant when I say it out loud, but I would be lying to myself that it wasn't the truth. 2010, I came back to visit family.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be here for 2 weeks. And I got stuck in Bangkok because of the volcano in Iceland. It erupted. My God. And it was during the summer. My head chef in the hotel that I was talking about, he was fucking pissed. He was fucking going down like a sack of shit. And I was like, I'm only going to go away for, I think it was like 10 days.
Yeah.
I ended up not being there for like 3 weeks because of the volcano thing.
Yeah.
Fucking, I got so much shit for that. Like, anyway, so I was stuck in Bangkok by accident. And I'd only been cooking for like 2 or 3 years. But I was already a chef. I was already like into the world. And then I was like, oh wow, I'm in Thailand. I get to actually see what's around. So I was in Bangkok by accident, and I started looking around, and I was like, there's fucking nothing here. And the thing was, because Bangkok, you hear about it, you read about it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Bangkok, and I was living in London, so I associated that. Okay, it wasn't going to be New York or London, but it would at least be halfway.
Yeah.
In terms of like choice, options, fine dining, like excitement, and especially Thailand being known as like a gastronomic haven. And then for the first time in my life, I realized like, oh my God, there is literally, you have the Italians.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to Italians, like nothing wrong with that, but there wasn't any restaurant that stood out that was like, captivating, especially in the fine dining era. There was nothing there at the time. I think Gagan just opened. or hasn't opened yet. I'm
The
not
only
sure.
place I knew about when I came to Bangkok, first time 2012, was Nam.
Yeah.
That was the only place I knew.
I don't know. I think now might have been still in London in 2010. I don't think it was here yet.
No.
Because yeah, I think it was still in London. And I remember being like, and back then, we didn't have iPhones. So I
Yeah.
just Google. You had to like physically like ask around.
Yeah, and go.
So and then and it was, I remember it clearly. I was sitting. I think I was staying in a hotel, and I was staying in my cousin's apartment. He was at uni here, and I was like reading being back. I'm like, I should come back. And it wasn't like an opportunity to like come back and do something. It was like, it was the first time after 3.5, like 5 years living in the UK, because I moved when I was 15. 4 years living in the UK, I realized how lucky I was. It was the first realization that, the fact that you have a Thai passport and you can work overseas, you are one in fucking
Yeah.
10 million. And it was the first time I had realized that working in the UK with the conditions that I had was so extremely rare.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could either just stay in London. Look, if I stayed in London, I would have had a great career regardless. I would probably be paid 5-6 times what I'm paid now. And it would have been great. And I have no judgment. And my parents were really, really fucking pissed that I moved back.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, because I knew that there was a lot of doors that opened for me. And even though I took every opportunity that came my way, as much as I could, I knew that no matter what I did, if those doors never opened in the first place, it would have never happened.
Yeah.
And that was like why I came back. It was not to say that I needed saving or whatever. That's unrealistic, and not that the industry here would do fine with or without me. Absolutely, but it was like I knew that if I had, like we talked about earlier, purpose.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted this to be like a side quest, a purpose. To really train. In my small group of team that we have at Mia, to really give them everything that I know, everything that I have, relentlessly share,
Yeah.
add curiosity, train them like how I was trained in London. And it hasn't always been perfect, but it has really created and demanded a very loyal follow. I have chefs who've been with me for 7-8 years now because of that. Because like I'm an open door. And I do it from a place of really genuine care, because I knew that, like, I have some chefs who will always ask me, Chef, do you think I could work in London one day? I'm like, look, if I could give you that opportunity, I fucking will.
Yeah.
And like, and from a Thai person, I know how difficult it is to have a Thai passport. And one chef, she's in Paris now. She's in Paris now. And she was able to get me on the CV. She's applied, and she has been able to get herself to Paris. I mean, she's working in a hotel and I'm so happy that Mia, because it's obviously a star restaurant, it's a reputable place, I'm happy that the door was able to open for her.
Yeah.
It really warmed my heart that, wow, this was why I came back. Just that alone made everything else worthwhile. So when you went back full time,
Yeah.
how did it? Because you didn't have Prue yet, right?
No.
It wasn't.
We didn't
Was it
have
even in the conversation?
No.
You became the hotel chef.
No, I became the chef of the seafood restaurant. What was the Mediterranean restaurant?
Okay, what was it called?
Seafood at Trisara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very creative. Very.
So yeah.
Love that.
I think I was 24.
Wow.
When I took 25, when I took on the chef de cuisine position for that restaurant. So I was a baby, never been in charge of a kitchen in Europe. And then you come as a European guy in Thailand. Okay, of course, I have a little bit of experience over the past 2 years where I'm in and out. But
never
been in charge myself.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of nights crying at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically?
Yeah.
Like,
no, like
literally. Or
don't get things done the way you want it, because it's the culture change. What took me quite a few years to get adapted to, but in the end it changed my life.
What was and this is something I really want to touch on, because I see so many Western chefs struggle with this. Like I've always said to people, if I had come from London straight to Bangkok without stopping in Singapore, one, I wouldn't have met Michelle.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would have had no staff. It was, and the fact that I'm already Thai, it's easier for me.
Yeah.
Like Michelle struggled because she's weird, because she's brown, but she's not Westerner.
Yeah.
But she's not Thai. She's in the middle. But so many chefs that I've worked with who, like have amazing CVs. They worked in the world's most famous place, and then they come to Asia and they fucking struggle so much.
For me personally, is just you need to make sure you want to succeed, right? And I'm a foreigner in this country, and every day I wake up, I'm so pleased and so grateful that I can wake up and work and live in this place. So why should I be stupid to keep pushing what I think is best? No.
And you
have to adapt.
I want to say that the fact that you are looking at it from the way that you are is, I think, it's the cornerstone. I honestly, as a Thai person, not as a chef, but as a Thai person, I hate it when foreigners come to Thailand and they live here and then they start complaining about how things are in Thailand.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, go home.
Yeah.
No one is forcing you to be here.
Exactly.
No one is forcing you to deal with the shit that comes with dealing with the shit that comes with living here.
Yeah.
No one. And I'm like, if you really, if it's making you that miserable and you can't see it in a positive way or spin it in a positive way, you're in the wrong place. And no one's winning. You're miserable. You're making other people around you miserable. What are you doing here?
Exactly.
You know? And I just want to pinpoint like it's a choice. The way you see things is absolutely 100. What happens is it's out of your control. What happens, but how you see it, your perspective is an absolute choice.
Correct.
And so when did you make that switch? Okay, when was the worst day?
I think the beginning was pretty harsh.
Did you nearly give up a lot?
No, I don't.
Never? It was always like...
Yeah, I remember a conversation, because my friend came to visit me from the Netherlands. We went to a bar, we were smoking cigarette in the toilet. And he asked me, why Thailand? Why you come here? What is the purpose of it? I say, I feel like I have the opportunity to be different here. To do something that I'm not able to do in Europe.
Yeah, it's true.
And doesn't matter what happens, head down and go for it. I think we've kind of achieved that.
For 24 years old, you had a very future sight already.
I had a very clear vision of what I wanted.
Fucking hell, 24, I didn't know what I was going to do that weekend. Like you already had a very clear vision.
Yeah, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted. That time, Michelin-starred was no thing in Thailand because we were
not even in Southeast Asia. It was like...
I just wanted to cook something what make people happy. What make myself happy, to put my creativity on the plate. Then we took on, so I was the chef for that, and then Trisara took on a new F&B director, Kun Kiel, what was a piece falling out of heaven for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he basically cleared all the ways around me, all the obstacles around me, so I could walk free on the path and focus on what...
Is he the one from Amman?
No, he's working now for the F&B group for 4 Seasons.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the name is, but he's doing that. So he was basically, and of course a few other people who helped me through it, but they made sure that I could focus on the goal. So after I did that restaurant for 6 months, and then it's okay, maybe we start to improve a little bit, the dishes make it a little bit more fancy. And then there was a place in the restaurant, in the hotel, and it was empty. So, do you not want to create a new restaurant here? And that is how Pru was born. Yeah, so that was the beginning of the ideas came like late 2015. So actually 1 year after I did the seafood restaurant, 1 year of research. Okay, guys, let's go all in, and we do 100% local farm to table concept. We have a piece of land, we make a farm, and we have a restaurant. You have 800,000 baht. That's it. Don't complain.
800,000 baht.
800,000 baht. That's what I got. I'm still grateful for the opportunity, because that is where I really could create something. And they said, okay, create something what nobody else do. Make sure it's unique, make sure it's special, make sure you make break even. So the first month was break even. I think only 1 month we didn't make break even. The rest of the years, always break even. But there were days, like 4 or 5 days in a row, I was sitting like this. Okay, guys, 9 o'clock, no guest. Let's go. And then again, a lot of crying at home.
Yeah.
Because you really want to do something, but the people don't know, or the people don't want to know yet. That hurts the feeling big time.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, but this was something, okay, you have to put your head down.
Yeah.
And go for it. And then we knew Michelin gonna come. And okay, guys, fuck this shit. We open 6 days a week. I make sure I open the door and I close the door every single day until the guide is out, and we have to make sure we're there. And then that happened, and then, yeah.
First of all, when you work in a hotel, as you are, people have this negative, I feel like, perspective of working in a hotel. And the fact that you were given a task to break even and to do your food still and to break even. I feel like a lot of chefs, they're very lazy when it comes to this. It's almost like they feel like they've earned the right to fuck up the financials because they want to cook the food that they want to cook.
Yeah.
And the way that I feel is that people don't talk about that enough. It's like, fuck your premium ingredients. If you don't know how to make something and not cost an arm and a leg to someone else that's not your money, I'm sorry, you're either a bad chef or you're a lazy chef.
Yeah.
And it's one or the other. You should not trade off the cost of anything that is not yours, that you don't have the right to lose, for the namesake of like feeding your own ego.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that it goes against every single PR and marketing thing. You know, every chef has to use the best ingredient of that. It's not true. It's not fucking true.
Not true.
It's not true at all. And like when we were talking about with Garima on the first episode, you know, value, the perception of value. As long as you're giving huge value to your customer, they're coming and they're paying. It's up to you how you make that connection in the middle. And the fact that you were able to say that you broke even within the first year, except for 1 month, that's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know that you obviously being in a hotel restaurant, you have the support.
Yeah.
You don't pay rent. You know.
You have to admit because for me it was a very good setup because, so for me I said I don't want to worry about financial. I have somebody please
help.
Tell me whatever. Okay, if the cost is going too high, just make sure we cut it. So I could really focus on what's happening on the plate by making sure that we don't lose money. But having a hotel around as a chef to start up, it's a very safe and comfortable environment.
Absolutely.
Because if I was starting a standalone restaurant, what I have now, I would not be where I am now.
No, you would have. I don't think you would have.
I would not have made it. First of all.
Yeah, I think a lot of what people don't talk about is, and what people should know is that one, there is absolutely no shame in having help. You need it.
Yeah.
If you want to open a and this is what I feel like Thai chefs need to hear more of, because the lure of Michelin is just there. If I could just ask my parents for 10 million baht, I'll open a fine dining restaurant with a chef's counter that feeds 12 people, tasting menu only. There'll be 4 staff. And I'll do it long enough until we get a star, and that's it. And then you start seeing so many chef's table concept.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at them going, guys, you're diluting the market. Secondly, you're just not ready.
Yeah.
And you can't be, you're 24, 25 years old. You just finished culinary school.
Yeah.
And you want to run a business, and you're expecting that your heritage fund or whatever is going to feed it until it becomes successful enough to feed itself. I'm not saying that it won't work, but I'm saying that is not a right way to go about it.
Exactly.
You know,
for me it was always so. I was always I told I want the distance from the business side. I'm not the business partner there back in the days.
Yeah.
I'm just a chef. I want to make sure I can cook. And one day, like when we opened the new restaurant, it just happened. Okay, now I know I'm ready.
Yeah.
Become a business partner. I know exactly now I'm ready to take on all the other things.
It's a different job.
It's different.
People don't realize how much of a different job, because like you wear the same name. You're still a chef.
Yeah.
But when you're a fucking commie, trying to just make sure that you're ready for mise en place 2
Yeah.
times a day, that's one job. And then when you're a CDP, when you have to take care of fucking 2 shitheads, that's also a different job. And then when you're a sous chef, taking care of 2 shitheads on different multiple stations, that's another job. And then when you're the head chef, fucking doing the PR, the HR, the rostering, the ordering, the supply, that's another job. And then when you're the executive chef or the chef de cuisine, you're the creativity side, creating this, balancing, being the person to draw the line of what to do and what not to do on the plate. That's another job entirely. The responsibility of that with the cost and everything. And then when you're a business owner, that's a whole nother job.
A whole different work.
And it's like 5 positions in your life, and no one is good at all 5.
No
one is good at all 5. I have known some chefs who are dear friends who are fantastic sous chefs, but the moment you ask them to create something, they fucking crumble down and they have no creativity at all.
Yeah.
And I have some people who are fantastic at being creative, but they cannot do the same thing over and over again. And then you have some people who don't know how to fucking cook. And they're like the world's most famous chefs. And because the 5th one is amazing, and because and it's just like, there's no right or wrong. And I'm not here to, it's different jobs, and people need to understand that it's just because you're good at one doesn't mean you can be good at the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you agree with that statement? I mean, like it's
true.
It's fascinating
how
and I feel like when chefs accept that, not other people, not media, not client, when we as a community accept that,
Yeah.
I think we'll all be better for it. We have all better understanding of like, yeah, you know, this person is really good at this.
This and the other one.
And then when you when you accept it, you're like, for me, I'm fucking terrible at doing paperwork. I can't. If you ask me to write my name on a piece of paper, I will fail.
Yeah.
But if you ask me how to get out of the shits and make it happen,
Yeah.
get it done.
Good thing.
Even if the electricity's out, you know, I have to fucking burn a blowtorch to cook my pasta. I'm your guy. I'm your guy in the disaster scenario. In a sinking ship, if I need to feed 220 covers with no electricity, I will be there.
Yeah.
Hands up. And Michelle hates that. She hates when things don't go the way that they're planned.
Yeah.
You know, she hates it. And chefs need to make sure that they don't put their ego of their own vanity above everything else.
Yeah.
Because I'm creative doesn't mean that I don't need to do PR marketing.
Yeah.
Because I'm creative, I don't need to do the food costs. It's you know, you kind of like lie to yourself. But the fact that you're at a young age, you're open, you ask for help.
Yeah.
I think people should do that more often. And when we chefs, because I feel like sometimes once we get to a certain position in our career, we are too egotistical to be like, okay, what are we not good at? We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like you're a fine dining chef in a 5-star hotel or a hotel and your food costs 45%. You like ignore it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm an artist, you know, fuck you and your food costs. That's you earn the right to do it, but at the same time, you're not helping yourself. If you just are open to accept where you're not great and get help on it.
Yeah. I think that is a point, you know, asking for help is one.
Yeah.
Admitting to it. It's very funny because yesterday we had a workshop about failure within our group. So the failure is very difficult. And then the guy who do the workshop, my partner, he said, okay, now Jimmy is in this room. I'm pretty sure when he leave, you guys have a lot of things to complain about him. But when he's here, it's not. Yeah, it's true. Because, you know, sometimes you are influenced by the audience, right? But admitting to a failure, I think it's one of the best learning schools there is.
For me, is always, and this is something I tell my team, the first thing that you need to do is you need to be mature enough to be self-aware, to admit. Admit is the first step. For some people, the first one is harder than the second, and some people, the second is harder than the first. So the first is admitting, knowing where your weakness is.
Yeah.
And this is not just being a chef, but chefs need to do this more often. I feel like they will have a better life, they will have a more happy life, fulfilled life, and they'll be better chefs, friends, fathers, everything.
Yeah.
When they, one, accept, second, do something about it. You know, there is no black and white. Everyone's life is complicated. Everything, it's you know, it's rainbows and butterflies. There's different multiple dimensions. But the fact that you first need to accept and then to be mature enough to act on it. And when you see the progress, you know, that jump, I feel like is what separates you to a lot of other people who would have been in your position.
Yeah.
You were able to be mature enough to accept that you don't want to deal with the finances. You ask for help.
Yeah.
The fact that you were able enough to be like, okay, I'm not good at this. I haven't made it yet. So you do everything you can within your power. And then you act on it, you know. The fact that you took it step by step. Like a lot of people I know would look at you and it's very easy. Oh, he was in a hotel. There was no competition. He got to where he is. But they don't realize that you could have been anyone else. And I guarantee you 99 out of 100 would have failed.
Yeah.
You know? And this is why this podcast is to talk about that, you know, talk and be open and honest, show other people that it's not what you always perceive and what it really takes to, I hate the word make it or success because it's not definitive.
Yeah.
Like you could be successful and have a corporate job and have an amazing family and have the freedom to do whatever you want, go on holiday, and that doesn't define success. Having a star doesn't define success. No. It's like having a fulfilled life is successful. And
it's exactly the same for me. If I can take my son to a nice school, I can take my wife on holiday, business runs, you know. What else do you need?
What else? Exactly.
I don't need to have 100 million baht in my bank account.
No, neither do I. I've never been interested in materialistic.
No.
That I would never. I'm more than, like I've always said to people. I'm one of the few people who are so aligned with what I do, and I'm so fortunate to be able to have the fingers, the eyes, opportunity.
Exactly.
I'm happy to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, every minute of every second, because I genuinely love this job and respect it so much.
Yeah.
I love the creative side. I love the meeting the people. This is amazing, you know? If you told me that I was in a dungeon in fucking London at 19, that I would be sitting across in a Tong Law studio speaking to a a Dutch chef talking about the industry, I would have been like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And you, as a 24-year-old Dutch man, going to an exotic thing for the first time and building the life that you've had,
Yeah.
that you work for, this job can give you everything you want,
Yeah.
as long as it's aligned with your values and purpose.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, right? So when you wake up and you feel happy every morning, of course there's stress in our life.
Yes.
Of course there's shitty things going on.
Yes.
It's not what we can control. But, that's part of life, right? And if you can just pick the happy moments out of it, then that's life.
So I want to talk about the 9220, because I feel like people don't talk about that enough. I think the pressure of being the last person to draw the line, which is the one deciding what goes on the plate, how you cook things, do we sous vide, do we grill it on the bone, do we buy this duck, do we buy that duck, do we plate it this way, do we plate it that way, do we serve it at 52 degrees, do we serve it at 48, all these micro decisions that go into orchestrating a degustation menu in 2024, people don't see it.
No.
A customer come, they take photo, they eat, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. They don't know it, and that's why the gap between consumers coming in, experiencing, and the people behind it, there's that gap that is like people don't know, people don't realize. So when you are the last man on the deciding, as all chefs are, right? Because we're the one who makes all the calls. How does it feel to set up, do zero, for how many nights did you do zero that year? Do you remember? Do you keep count?
No, many.
No. Many?
Yeah. Many.
More than 20?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I think there was 1 week, like 4 or 5 days in a row, zero.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
When you hear success stories of chefs, it's very easy to glamorize nights that you do zero. It's almost like you passed it,
Yeah.
But actually, when you're in it, I always tell people at Mia, the first year we switched to fine dining in 2021, it was not that bad. It was okay. But the second year, last year, before we got the stuff, we did 32 nights with zero.
Oh, really?
More than a month. Yeah, and people never know this. People don't have a clue, because on Instagram, on the story, it looks busy.
Yeah.
We're doing events. We did the Friends of Mia with Odette. Like, it was like an ongoing. And when I tell people, so I went back and I made a speech in front of the whole team that I don't remember at all.
Okay.
Apparently Guillaume, and all the staff that it was, and I kept count. That year we did 32 nights with zero covers. And if Julian and Pook didn't come to eat, we would have done 35 nights with zero covers. Okay. It was 3 nights that they came to eat. Yeah. It was hard. It was.
But it's also where you can find your, not say self-motivation, but you're in a true.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I think it's a lot of ways where people, screw this, I'm going to do something else. Or it's the people who put their head down. Okay, guys, we have to believe in it. We need to do something. When I was in the hotel, right? Okay, we do zero covers tomorrow. How many rooms check in? Okay, it's 10 rooms check in. Just do whatever you think. We're gonna make canapes. We send to the room. Just make sure it's something from Peru. They know. We create awareness. So that is where you need to find people to come in.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But then, so we did zero, and then Michelin came. The same story, I think, for you guys, right?
Yeah, it is.
But then Michelin-starred is 1, but then the hit what comes after is 2, right?
Yeah.
I was 7 months after Michelin. I was somewhere on the side of the road because I was almost burnt out.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was stress. I don't like to say this, but it's like jealous people.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the beginning, you have a lot of friends.
Of course.
After that, you think they're friends, but then they disappear and they talk behind your back. Okay, but you have to deal with it.
You have to.
So in my whole career, I worked in 0 Michelin-star restaurants. Never worked any Michelin-star.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me the other day, and I was shocked.
So just for the purpose of what I said, I don't want to take anything from anybody else.
You want to have a clean slate
to create my own experience.
Has that been hard? Was it techniques that you know?
I think it took until maybe, even when I was running Peru in the beginning, it took me still time to develop my own identity. Maybe 3 or 4 years into Peru. I think maybe like after COVID, I think it was the switch. Okay, guys, now we have to really go on the path that, okay, if people come to Peru, they close their eye, they taste the food, they know
it's Peru.
It's Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, not to be arrogant, but I think nowadays we have created something that it's defined pro.
Yeah, I really think you do. You know,
Yeah.
I think your durian with caviar, it's still one of the most unique dishes I've tried from Phuket. You know, the way that you treat your duck, the way that you have blended. Oh, to be honest with you, the first restaurant I worked was called Mia, Freebed.
Yeah.
And after that, we did a 6 months pop up, and it was called Terra, and it was inspired by a fine dining restaurant that I funded. And I might have to do a whole podcast about this because I went around Bangkok and I asked for money,
Yeah.
and it was the most shameless 6 months of my life. I fucking cold dropped every rich fucking person I knew on Instagram. I got blocked. I think like 6 out of 12 people blocked me straight away. I had no shame. I was so determined to get funding because I have money. I don't come from a rich family, you know, like, and I wasn't asking a lot. It was a few million, you know, and the thing is, I was so arrogant. I thought people would be queuing up to fund my financing.
Yeah.
I thought I was so good and I was so unique that there would be 100 people lining up to fucking throw money at me. What a dick. What
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Dick, you know? Fucking hell. To raise 1 million baht was like a fucking struggle.
Yeah.
But anyway, during the process of creating the business side I created, and the thing is, people don't know, the reason I became Forbes on the Forbes 30 was the business plan I created for this.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to do any business plan. I've never done any P&L. I've never done anything. I had to self-teach myself everything from scratch. And that's when I realized, fuck you, this is not being a chef anymore. Like, being a business owner, creating a business plan, doing your budgeting, you know,
different.
scouring location, all this shit. Like, it was like a fucking ball ache. And it made me realize how I wasn't nowhere near ready.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to talk about it is I know that so many people would have been through the same journey as I have. They would have worked in a few fine dining places. They would have been in their late 20s. They would have been like, it's my time now. Because the thing that people fear is opportunity. They fear that the opportunity in front of them is going to be there and it's going to go and it's never going to come back. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You will, if you're good enough,
there will always be another.
There will always be another one.
Yeah.
Your opportunity will come. It doesn't matter whether you're 28, 35, 40, 45. Like you said, I love the word that you put your head down. You know, because I truly believe that if you didn't get the opportunity at Peru to do what you do, you would have found this opportunity somewhere else. Given this very unique concept, but you would have been able to be successful in a term that define it.
It's just like, it's not very often that you see a hotel, and they give you freedom to create something.
Yeah.
So I think, it was a right time, the right place with the right. You know, for me, I'm a low human. This year I do 10 years with this company.
Yeah.
So it's
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. So it's when I feel comfortable somewhere, it's you know, you can deliver a lot more than when you're somewhere.
It becomes more than a job.
Yeah.
And you need to have that kind of like purpose. It needs to be more than just a job. Because if it's just a job, you'll never ever the shit that fine dining chef throws at you, you're never gonna make it. No one will. No matter how mentally strong you are, if it's not aligned with your value and your purpose and your when people say about passion, I think passion is like, it's not enough. You need to be almost fucking obsessed with it.
Yeah.
You really need to do, and it's, I'm not glorifying that people don't have passion, that it doesn't matter. It's like, there's no shortcut. It's like, how I tell young people when they come into the kitchen is like, okay, look, why do you want to be chef? I like food, which is what 99% of people pay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, look at it this way. And I always say it in Thai, like, you know, anyone can learn how to play an instrument, okay? But to be able to do it well enough, long enough, and dedicate your life to it, to become good enough to be paid to do it, is a different thing. You could have a hobby. You could play piano, you could play guitar, you could play drum. But to make it, when I say make it, I mean like for it to be a paying profession and to have a good life that you want to have. Are you really willing to practice as much? Because cooking is the same.
Yeah.
You need to fucking cut that carrot. You need to organize your shit. You need to check your fridge, do the mise en place. You need to clean over and over and over and over before you can even fucking start to be like, okay, what salt am I going to put on this dish? You know, before that.
Yeah.
Same with the musician. You need to fucking play those notes again and again and again
Over
and again before
over.
you start to make it, you know, and people, it's obviously with the way that the media, and I'm not saying, when I say media, I mean like people typing, like journalists who are paid to write something about something. They have to find stories, right? Because that's what they're paid to do. And the way that the industry is portrayed sometimes with cooking shows, with TV, with this, it's like the next generation of chefs need to understand that you need to find love in the repetition.
Yeah.
There is no shortcut to the repetition.
No.
You might be 1 in a million that have never cooked, learn how to cook, and you may be the fifth person that we talked about, very good at being a businessman, a spokesperson, PR, marketing, and you don't actually know how to cook. But that's 1 in a million. And it's not a great example to replicate.
No.
It may never work. And most likely, from our experience, it doesn't work. The fact that you are able to do that. So 0 covers. I think we never finished with the 0 covers.
Yeah.
Fucking my ADHD is coming all over. We need an anchor. We need a cover host.
Yeah.
So did the hotel ever say that they were going to pull the plug?
No.
During that year? Never?
No.
Wow. That's amazing.
No. Because it's they always said, okay, do something different. Okay, we want different. It takes time. And we know it takes time. But after 1 year, you already see, okay, people start to kind of understand. Plus 8 years ago in Phuket, the people, they don't come for food.
They come for different food.
Yeah, different food. Okay, you do a new concept in Phuket, in a 5-star hotel that was on the top of the hotels in Phuket, very difficult to access. Mm-hmm. What you're going to do? What you're going to achieve there? Okay, it takes time. Just calm down. Changing, and then so that is how we start to play, and then of course during high season when the hotel's full, we made a little buffer for the lower months. So we opened 16, and so we did 17, and then actually already after 1 year we knew that Michelin came, and then we said, okay, just head down, let's go. And then because we have a very small team, I work with 4 in the kitchen and 4 in front of house. That's it. Compared to now, we have 35 in total. So 35. From 8 people when we opened to 35.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Big team.
It's a big team. And then we know Michelin came. And then, slowly things start to pick up. And then because the team was so small, we said, okay, guys, we do 12 covers a day. That's it. Not more. If we do 12 covers, we can perform at the highest level what we think is good. If we do more, we fail. And we're gonna sacrifice quality over quantity. And then we never did that. We always go for quality. If we have to block the tables at 12, we do 12.
This is something that I have to give credit to Julian. Even when my business partner Julian, when we were struggling, when we were doing 0 covers, when we switched, to be fair, Mia wouldn't be where they are without our business partners.
Yeah.
More than a financial support, in terms of they have said no or yes to a lot of things and decisions that Michelle and I put forward that a lot of other business owners would have been the opposite.
Yeah.
When I'm like, oh, shall we start? Because obviously the only thing you can do when you're struggling like that and you bleed money is when you save costs.
Yeah.
Even though that the first concept that they made was completely utter disaster. It was not it was if you wanted to know how to open a restaurant and fuck it up.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Take Freebird and the beginning of Mia and put it together in one book. It was absolute shit show. It was the wrong food for the wrong market, and the wrong pricing, and the wrong location. It was just everything was a mixed match, and the way that it was operated. We had I think at some point we had 42 staff members.
Okay.
I had 16 in the kitchen.
Wow.
Just because we were doing a very high volume.
Yeah.
We did 120 covers a day for the first.
Oh yeah.
It was a beast, but the food we didn't fit the market. We had some dishes that didn't make any sense, and it was way too expensive for people to come regularly. And we were priced, I feel like no man's land. It wasn't casual enough to you that roast to come every day and enjoy, and it was not fancy enough for you to charge hotel prices.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle where it's painful to be in the middle, and it was just a wrong strategy of a restaurant in terms of business. Anyways, when we make the switch to fine dining, they have always put what people have first.
Yeah.
We reinvested organically to get new tables, new chairs, and everything. We bought new plates. We changed the configuration. We stopped, like you said, slot booking time. We always do no more than 6 covers every half an hour.
Yeah.
That was it. And when there's a PDR with more than 6 covers, we block the whole hour for them.
Yeah.
And we went from 120 seater restaurant, we do 28. That's it. That's the max.
That's maximum.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to eat there, actually. You're coming next week, right?
Next week.
Yeah.
27th.
All right. So let's talk about the star.
Yeah.
So obviously, you and I both know that you get a little email.
Yeah.
2 weeks prior. And but you don't know whether you get the star. You just get an invitation.
So for me, it was a funny fact because they invite me. So that time it was on the 14th of November, but in the early September I get an email if I wanted to cook at the gala dinner.
Oh, so you cooked at the first one?
So I cook at the first one.
Oh.
So you kind of know, but you don't really know.
Yeah, that must be torturous.
Yeah, so I was invited to cook.
Who else cooked at the first one? I don't remember.
Chef Ryuki,
Uh-huh.
and then the other one from outside Thailand.
Oh, so it's just you three.
Yeah, me and Ryuki.
Okay, and someone else.
Yeah, and there were 5 chefs, 3 from outside.
Okay,
One from France. I don't really remember. It was the whole day is. I don't remember much. It's not because of the alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I got that email. Okay, just gonna be very exciting. I was already shitting my pants.
Oh my God.
But then one day it was service and it was actually busy. So the phone rings in the kitchen. So the kitchen is separate from the restaurant that time. And F&B manager picked up the phone. He said, Jim, is your phone? I'm busy. Leave me alone. He said, no, it's Michelin. Oh, fuck, shit.
Oh.
So I go to, that time they still call.
Yeah, they still call.
So I pick up the phone. Yeah, it's Michelin. Congratulations. You're invited. Okay, but what is this about? No, cannot tell. Just give me a size of your shirt. Okay, so I hang up the phone. I still get stomach feelings now. So I went to the toilet and cried a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was very emotional. Because this is all, I put so much of my time and
Your
everything
life?
in
Your
my
life?
life in this.
Yeah.
So by achieving that time the goal what we set ourselves, that was, we still didn't know, but when you get a call from Michelin, you kind of,
Especially when they ask for your chef. I mean, the chef jacket isn't really because they've even when we were a la carte, they still send us an email and ask for it was like a very generic.
So that was a very special moment.
Honestly, I cannot explain enough for people who are not in the industry. The feeling of relief, I think, more than anything. Well, and for you to share that you went to the bathroom and cried, I think it needs sharing. Because people, this the hidden, like, this is why the podcast is what it is, and this is what I want it to be. I want it to be like pockets of, like, what is it called? When you share, I feel like when you share something, moments in life like this, you feel liberated. Like Andrew Martin, he was talking about his dad.
Yeah.
His dad passed away when he was very young, and he never spoke about his dad publicly ever before in his life. And for him, I could feel him talking like almost like to a friend for half an hour about his dad.
Yeah.
And like how he would have seen him now and been proud and all this. And for you to just share that moment, I think, it's very candid, and I could just imagine it, I could just imagine all the day, because the days, the struggle, the doubts, the pressure.
Yeah.
And for you to finally be able to,
Then we get to the day it happening, right? So it was in Park Hyatt. I remember this one. I remember very well.
Because you were still sober then?
And it was my brother was in town. It was just happened on accident that my brother came.
So the gala was before? Because the first one was a bit weird. Because the gala wasn't like invites. It was like you paid for the dinner, right?
Yeah, you still could buy.
Yeah, Julian and Book went to the gala.
Yeah, so he went that one as well. So we get. It was in the morning. So first you have the press conference in the morning. So I was already shitting myself. I almost threw up. Only espressos. I could not eat. Like, when you're so super overexhausted.
Yeah.
And then when you sit there and I was with my wife. My wife is pregnant that time. And then they call your name. You go on stage and you have no idea what happened. And then you sit down and then everything happens.
Yeah.
You just start to cry like a baby.
It
was.
It's amazing how, I mean, I know that in this day and age, especially in other parts of the world, people discredit Michelin, and it's unfair for us to say here, sitting opposite each other, talking about it as two Michelin chefs, because it sounds biased and naive, but there is absolutely no shame in saying that the impact on that little red book in terms of business is still there. People, I mean, if you get a star in London and in Paris now, it probably won't have the same effects as it did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you're in a new country, in a new territory, especially the fact that they digitize everything, so you don't need to buy the book. You can just fucking download the app. Like, I just went to KL. Sorry, I went to Chiang Mai. I used the app.
Yeah.
I went to KL. I used it, and it's not perfect, but it's as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than fucking TripAdvisor, in my opinion.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
And ironically, they partnered with each other for this purpose.
Yeah.
I think the back of house, the coding and everything is done by Trip. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I feel like since the partnership, and when they saw the partnership, everyone was like, oh, what the fuck? But it makes total sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
And you saw right. I mean,
after that, the first thing, the reservations platform shut down.
yeah,
It was just
instantly
done. Bookings, bam, bam, bam. It was so from a restaurant that do 10 covers. Okay, we hire more people. We have 20 seats. We're doing 20 covers every single day.
for how long?
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea until COVID, I think.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that is another type, because people, when they come to Peru before Michelin, very nice. They don't have any expectations. When they put something on your door, expectations rise, right? So people come in, they would complain.
Yeah.
So what is this?
Yeah.
You need to deal with that. So what I said earlier, the pressure, jealous people. My son was born in the same, like 4 or 5 months after. So I was working 18 hours a day. I was going home. I was taking care of my son. And then one time it's done. Your body just don't, I'm so obsessed with something that you need to take a break down. It was in a time that, okay guys, I need to take a break. I was sleeping in my car before service because I could not stand anymore. And then it's done, guys. I took 2 weeks off because it was very close to, burn out myself.
Yeah.
And then, okay guys, I know, because when I do something, I go until I cannot stand anymore.
Yeah. I think a lot of chefs have this nature of.
But this one was like, okay, guys, I saw.
You saw
the
where you
lowest I can go. I need to make sure. I still put my head down every single day because I still love to work 16 or 18 hours a day, but I know I have a family at home I need to take care of. And I think that those two people, my wife and my son, is the reason why I'm still sitting here. Because otherwise, I haven't seen it in a positive way.
I mean, the fact that you were. First of all, the fact that you're sharing that, I really appreciate it, because I know that a lot of other chefs, I know that a lot of people go through the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know that not many would have had the strength to, one, realize about burnout.
Yeah.
Burnout is real.
Yeah.
Burnout, a lot of people confuse burnout with working a lot.
Yeah.
It's not working a lot. It's the first type of burnout, I feel, and I obviously not a psychiatrist, and this is not fucking medical advice at all, but I see in other people, the first type of burnout is when you do something that you're not aligned with. Like you're working in a corporate job that you don't really have, that you don't share the same values as a company, or like you're working in a bank and you're putting in numbers in an Excel sheet. You're not really that passionate about it, but it still pays the bill.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fine. You have to, right? And then they do that for a long period of time, and then they burn out. So even though they're only working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's torturous. And how do I know this? I've done a job like that. I said this in the last part. I worked in retail for 3 months.
Okay.
And we only do 6 hours. It was only 6 hours.
Yeah.
I went from a fucking kitchen working at 7 o'clock in the morning till midnight for 6 years. And then for 3 months in retail, I worked for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
I guarantee you those 6 hours was more difficult than doing 18 hours in the kitchen. It was I was folding clothes. Oh my God, it was done. It was those 3 months. I left the restaurant because I was heartbroken, and I took a break, and the 3 months in retail was like, I fucking belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else. And it was the best revelation for me it put a stamp. Like, I always knew this is where I belong, but that was like 120%, like this is where I really, really belong.
Yeah.
So that's the first type of burnout. The second one is when the one you had. Even though you're aligned with what you're doing and you love what you're doing, you get to a certain point where you have nothing more to give. And the first person you need to take care of is like yourself.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond, like, it doesn't matter how many hours you do, whatever. It's like the mental preparation to put your mind and your body. Because like Andrew was saying, like, you need to earn it. A calm mind, a healthy body.
Yeah.
You can't buy that shit.
No.
A fulfilled life. The third one's like the fulfilled life.
Yeah.
To earn that shit.
Yeah.
No amount of like mommy or daddy's money is gonna fucking give you those three at all.
No.
None.
No.
So after the Michelin Gala, you got the jacket.
Yeah.
Did you have a big celebration with your team?
Yeah, we opened a few bottles of champagne.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how was
Well,
your
that's
first
it.
service? Did you fly back straight away to Phuket
The next day.
the next day?
Yeah. Well, I think we closed. No, I think we closed that time.
Yeah?
Yeah, we closed the restaurant for 1 week. Yeah, and then we opened. and it was like I don't remember much from it.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I remember, I think I wasn't at Mia. I was still at Freebird. It was 2016, right? The first
18.
18.
Yeah.
Oh, 18, I was already. Where was I? No, Mia hasn't. Mia hasn't
Yet,
opened. I think. I don't remember. I don't know whether
6
we
years
had
ago,
opened
yeah.
or just opened.
Yeah.
It was 6 years. No, we hadn't opened yet. Oh, I was in Taiwan. Yeah, I remember. I was doing a pop up for Terra in Taiwan.
Okay.
And then the Michelin was coming out, and yeah, because Michelle was working at Suring at the time,
Yeah.
and no, I was already a Freebird. Sorry, I was still a Freebird. And I remember looking, on my phone with the live feed, and then you start seeing chefs join the live feed.
Yeah.
So I had all my chef on my Facebook, so you can see who wasn't at the ceremony. I was like, oh, okay. And anyway, so yeah, when Prue came up, as a Phuket boy, I it was a weird sensation, because growing up in Phuket, if you had told me one day that we would have a Michelin-starred restaurant in Phuket, I'd be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, impossible.
It was like it makes you realize how things that seem impossible are actually very, very possible. Because if you had told me at the age of 18, 19 that Michelin would even come to Thailand,
Yeah.
that they would even go to Phuket, that there would even be one, it was, and the fact that you did it all on like local ingredients. It was very heartwarming for me, because I feel like the food that you are cooking, I always knew someone should do it. I
Yeah.
always believed that and I call it territorial cuisine. It was when I was asking people for money to open my
Yeah.
fancy restaurant, that was the core base. And it was like 2000. I think we came up with the concept 2015.
Okay.
So Prue was already open, but there was like no word to put on it.
Yeah.
You had just opened your doors. It was 2015 was when I started drafting the business plan.
Yeah.
And I came up with the word territorial cuisine, because I was like, what is Noma doing for their identity? What is everyone in the world do when they just use the limitation of terroir as like a perimeter, you know what I mean? And I'm like, territorial cuisine. And like, it's not that you cook the flavors of territorial, you just use the ingredients that is territorial.
Yeah.
And I call it modern territorial cuisine. And that business plan is what got me under Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah.
And it's weird, because the restaurant didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I said the business plan to Forbes, because I got approached by LinkedIn from one of the writers, and they were like, "What are you doing now?" Because I was like, I'm planning to open this restaurant." So I sent them the business plan. They reviewed it. They asked me some questions, and then 6 months later,
Oh wow.
I was
That's
30
pretty
under 30.
impressive, huh?
But it's fucking weird, because the restaurant never existed.
Never.
Never existed. So I still think I have to file for the business plan somewhere. Maybe one day I will share it with the world.
Yeah.
It's super interesting how, one, you can, if you want it enough, you can teach yourself
Yeah.
everything. I taught myself everything to make a business plan within 6 months.
Yeah.
Second, don't be naive. No one's just gonna throw money at you.
No.
You need to earn it.
You need to
and
earn
that
it.
was a
Yeah.
huge.
Wake up call.
That honestly, I struggled a lot, because I looked around Thailand, and I was like, wow, everyone has restaurants. And then I didn't realize that, the funding for those restaurants aren't probably where you think they're from.
Yeah.
And I thought that if my opportunity came, the funding would be relatively easy for me to find. And I was so wrong. So that huge slap in the face for me was like a huge wake up call. Like, I need to grow up. Like, if you think that you're good enough to people just
Yeah.
whatever. And it was like when I went to the Pearl, it was a huge realization of how naive I was with other people's money. So the pressure of so after you got the star, how was so the customers became more difficult, as you said.
Not really motive, but yeah, they come with the expectation.
Yeah.
To be honest, the first year I don't really.
When was your son born? How long was it after the star?
5 months, 4 months after the start. Yeah, so I was just coming out of high season. So he was born on the 22nd of March. Sometimes I see pictures for myself and I'm in a very bad shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, not looking very healthy. So we go through the year, and then then COVID came, and for me it came in the perfect time.
Yeah.
For myself, it was so my son turned 1. I was like literally on the edge of walking. I was devastated. The battery was finished. I needed to take a break. And then COVID, so I could spend time with my son. He was 1 year. My body feel like I was like Superman after 1 month. When your body is like completely rested.
Yeah.
Well then, okay, after 1 month, what are we gonna do, guys? I want to cook. So yeah, and then COVID. Okay, we closed the restaurant for 3 months. Then I wanted to work, so we did it a pop up at the farm, what is now still existing, but owned by Jampa. You know, in the restaurant you cannot sell alcohol. You can fit 5 people in the dining room. Let's go outdoor. Go in the restaurant so the people can get back to work. And then since then it's just until we are where we are now.
Amazing.
But yeah, a lot of things happen, of course, during the road because we moved.
What made you decide to relocate?
We already had the idea of before COVID that we one day we knew this restaurant, what we had back in the days. It's not made to be a Michelin-starred restaurant. It's not big enough to grow bigger than what we have then. So first the idea was, okay, maybe we move to the farm where we can really elevate the concept what we created. Then we thought, okay, if we do that, we have to start completely from zero. Then COVID came, so we put the plans on the side. We just make sure we make as much money as we can to survive. And then I think after COVID, we did quite some good numbers. Okay, guys, let's see. Then there was the head office was on top of the mountain. Okay, guys, let me talk to the boss if this is an opening, if that we cannot take over that building. And then he actually said, okay, if you want that, just come up with a proper business plan and we see what we can do.
Is that the first time you done a business plan?
Yeah, that was the first time. But that time I was still with the F&B director that time who helped me with most of it. So we did the business plan. Okay, how much money did we make over the past 5 years? That is the money that we can take to invest.
Organic.
Yeah. So it was actually so, and that is how Pru was born. Pru 2.0.
It's one of the most beautiful restaurants that I think is in the country. Honestly, it's so. When I think of Phuket, I think of everything that Pru has now: the view, the cliff, the end, the sunset. You know, it's like it ticks all the boxes. The fact that it's in the hill that it is. Is it? Would you call it Naiton Hill? What hill is it?
Yeah, it's
between Naiton
and Layan.
Layan.
Yeah.
The drive, the walkthrough, the entrance, when you have the coffee, and when we had the the lounge area, the fact that it's a mirror reflection of your dreams. You can feel that and sense that. And I feel like the great thing about it is you've kept the charm of Phuket. I'm super protective of Phuket because I'm from there. I grew up there. It made sense. It really, everything you did, every detail you had, it made sense. I can't wait to go and eat there. Fucking, I still can't believe I haven't visited yet.
So for me, it was like this restaurant is like a place where I can put all my dreams, what I ever wanted to be in my restaurant in there. Of course, with limiting in the budget what we have. And it has to be fun. I don't want my restaurant where you have to come with a suit. No, it's there. You come in my home. We chit chat, and it's every single one is a different experience. So it's And again, what you say about Phuket, same. People ask me, you want to open in Bangkok? No, screw this. I stay in Phuket, in my island. This is the people. I feel like I belong there.
Is it home for you now?
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Yeah. But it's also, again, it's like the people who giving me the opportunity to shine on top of my mountain. Okay, you see my face everywhere. But it's like the island what I feel very responsible for. Because of the restaurant what we have, people travel to Phuket. Even they don't stay in our hotel, they stay somewhere else. They stay 2-3 nights, they eat somewhere else. So without only us benefit from it, everybody else benefit from
Absolutely.
it. And I think that is for me the core purpose of having this restaurant in Phuket. Is just not just us. And so I never talk about it's always it's us. It's the island what I feel responsible for. And it's good because now you see so many new places opening and it's push the standards higher.
Absolutely.
And we just, as Pru, we just need to make sure we stay on top of the mountain.
I feel like chefs who are scared of competition need to look at themselves in the mirror because it's not part of innovation. No. Every innovative industry, you need competition. I know that I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying this, but I hate it when people are so negative about what other people are doing, what other chefs are doing. Oh, did you see that? It's the same plate as us. Oh, the plating's us. I'm like, so what? Have you never looked at Instagram? And like, are you serious? Like, you want to bitch and moan about some person sprinkling some powder the same color as you, even though it's a different flavored herb. And I'm like, and I call them out. I have some friends who are, like they take a screenshot of something from somewhere and then they send them, oh, like this, doesn't this look like that? And I'm like, mate, life's too short to fucking give.
Yeah,
Come on, like who cares? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and the worst is when the chefs think that they're the center of the universe and that everyone's copying them.
Yeah.
That for me is the worst. I'm like,
Yeah,
are you so self-centered that you think you're the inventor of whatever it is? Like, no one has invented anything food related since El Bulli.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a long time since you can use the word invented in food. And the thing that is interesting is like history of food and where you draw the line of origin is so blurred.
Yeah.
You know, how far back do you have to go in history to say that something is native and not native? Do you know what I mean? Like mulberries in Thailand, it's not native. But in 30 years' time, people will start saying, yeah, it's a native fruit here, you know?
Same with pad thai, no?
Huh?
Pad thai.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pad thai has been around for not that long. And, you know, you cannot say that it was a native dish at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother topic of mine. But I get frustrated when people talk about, you know, and that's...
Yeah.
And like for me, like I always feel like there should be a Thai restaurant, and maybe one day I'll do one myself that cooks Thai food, Thai flavors, but use the world's best ingredients. Because when you go to Hong Kong, all the best Chinese restaurants in Hong Kong, they use whatever they have that they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
Right? It's a fucking tiny island with there's
nothing
there. And you will never go to a Cantonese kitchen that's been open for 30 years, eat the food, and even though they use abalone from Japan or South Africa or pork from Spain, that is not Chinese food. And I feel like sometimes, and I know that, you know, it goes against like, you know, preserving, educating, and stretching what you can do with local ingredients. That's fine. But I feel like one should do for maximization to see where you can just go with it, you know? And just because your grandmother or my grandmother didn't use this product to cook this dish because she couldn't access. Now you can, you know, it should be, and it's just interesting to see how, like I always use Chinese restaurants as an example because no one ever goes to a 3 Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant, and the moment the protein is not from China, it's not Chinese.
Yeah.
But Thai people, we will. The moment you start putting beef that's not from Thailand, it's ไม่ใช่ อาหารไทยนะ it's not Thai.
Yeah.
It's not authentic. I'm like, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to Hong Kong and being to a Chinese chef that's not authentic? But your pork from Spain.
Yeah.
They're like,
probably kick you out.
So the other thing I want to talk about, which is something that I think a lot of chefs should know, is obviously you're a family man.
Yeah.
For you, what has been the most challenging thing to balance the two? Because obviously they're both very demanding and both very, and you know you briefly spoke about your wife, you know, having 3 miscarriages. Was that before or after your son?
After.
Oh, after. Yeah. So your first son was fine.
Yeah.
No complications.
Yeah.
Oh shit! So this was after.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
So it's been recently then. Must have been. He's what now? 4, 5? How old is your son now?
He's 5.5.
5.5.
It was the last one was May of this year. Yeah.
Shit, I'm really sorry, man.
That's okay. Yeah. So this one, you know, the things happen to everyone, but it also makes you realize that whatever you have to be super grateful for. People ask me, "Where's your second kid?" Fuck the shit, you know. Some people they cannot just basically have kids when you do like this, right? So that's why I never ask anybody about, why you don't have kids, right? Because it's something personal. Yeah. And we don't always have to touch the personal side.
Of course.
If they want to tell you, they tell you.
Yeah.
Like this story, I never share with anybody else.
I was so surprised that you did. I was never going to ask. And when you...
No, but it's important to understand. I think people need to understand that, you know, whatever smile is on it.
Yeah.
You know, we chefs, we have feeling as well.
Absolutely. And we have lives and we have, you know...
Yeah. And it hurts. It hurts big time. And when you see your wife is mentally down, what the fuck you care about your restaurant?
Yeah.
Right?
Put shit in perspective, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think that when we talk about, when you're a family man, I can cook anywhere in the world, right? The restaurant burns down, it's fine, I go somewhere else and I cook, right? But wife, I have one wife and I have one son. And that is whatever matters, nothing else matters as long as they're both healthy, right?
I think, like a lot of, when I think of chefs, you know, especially the career that you have to go through, you learn to be in control of everything more and more.
Yeah.
Like you learn to make decisions, you learn to minimize variables in your cooking, you learn to basically have more control. Like you minimize as many variables as possible. That's how I've always viewed it. And then when you become a family, I feel like everything you've learned, you have to learn to let go.
Yeah.
and then
Everything.
prioritize.
Yeah.
But still, and I feel like when you do that, learn how to be control and be good at it,
Yeah.
and then flip, learn to let it go and know what to let go.
Yeah.
It makes you a better chef.
That is, I think, the most, like, let it go. In the first 4 years of pro, I did everything myself. Everything. Front of house, back of house. I run the full show. Wow. You get older and, you know, you hire people because they're good at something. Right?
Yeah.
Give them the trust to show what they can. Right? And that is where let it go. And let...
Chefs, I know so many good chefs who could be friends in Europe who are still in you know, they're still in 2-3 stars now, sous chef, like number one, like really, really amazing careers. But I know that in their personality, they haven't found a place to, or learned in their career yet to let things go.
Yeah.
And because they haven't let it go, their growth is just slower.
Yeah.
They will still get there, but it'll probably take them longer.
Yeah.
And it's something Michelle and I struggle with a lot.
Okay.
She is a control freak.
Yeah.
What makes her the perfect pastry chef. You know, for our petit fours, the cocoa nibs that you put on, you know, she makes the staff weigh it out. So you don't even eat it. It's just visually, it's like, I think 126 grams.
Yeah.
And it's like perfectly flat.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I've worked in 1, I've worked in 2 star, I've worked in 1 star, I've worked in 3. I've never seen anyone fucking make the staff scale the cocoa nibs on the petit four trays.
Yeah.
And it's, but I have seen what it does to her sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, she's gonna give me shit for this for sure.
In terms of this, I'm very controlled as well.
But the thing is, that's like the base.
Yeah.
But in life, I tell to her, you need to learn, and when you realize that things are not as bad as it seems out to be, because the thing is, you know, she ties her identity to her job a lot, and all I'm trying to say is, when you do that too much, you will not. I feel like you said, you know, before you had a family, you tied your whole identity to your job.
Yeah.
And at that time, it's all you knew and it's all you cared about, and it's great to a certain point. But then when you realize that you had a family and then you reevaluate your priorities, I feel like you become even a better chef.
Yeah,
you even
that's for sure.
elevate to another level, not because like you let go of like recipes or whatever. It's not that. It's not letting go of like discipline and consistency. It's not that. It's like I think letting go is the wrong word. It's like reprioritizing what you're very good at.
Yeah.
And when you put other people in place to be what they're good at too, as a collective team, you just grow faster.
Yeah. But also, when you have a kid, you need to let him grow up. So when he's 18, you make sure that he's can take care of his own things. It's same in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
They're like my kids.
Absolutely.
So it's what I ever teach to my son, but then for adults, right? So it's same, and that will in the end elevate the whole team, and you make sure that everybody individuals can perform within the team. Yeah. But yeah, so talking about the family aspect, what changed? I think it really makes you understand, prioritize what is important. One reason I closed the restaurant on Sunday, so people have kids, they can spend time with the family.
That's beautiful. I think I know that your restaurant is based around sustainability and, you know, the produce you use and stuff. But my biggest talking point about sustainability that you do already, you know, is always the people.
Yeah.
I've always said this, and I looked at some restaurants who claim to be sustainable, and they have their staff work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, I'm like, why don't you start with the people? You know, like, it's, you know, like, what is the point of talking about using only local ingredients when the people and the culture you have within your working team isn't sustainable?
Yeah, you treat them not the right way. Yeah,
it's something that it's amazing that you close. I think it's really, really amazing.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. You would have never done this if you don't have a family, you know. So becoming a parent, I feel like it's, and for other people it could be different things. Like for me, I have become a better chef because I took back control of my health.
Yeah.
I was falling asleep during meetings. It was terrible. I was really short with my wife, with colleagues, with my business partner. And I was just disgustingly really overweight. And all because I had the same fire, same drive. All because I didn't take care of my sleep apnea, and I had no idea. And I didn't want to listen to Michelle for forever. And I think you sharing everything about your family, your wife's miscarriage, you know, and the love for your son. I love seeing every time you and your son cook. Honestly, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and I love how you don't go easy on him. You're like, hey.
Yeah. No, but it's like, That is the best gift what you can get. But you know, you need to make sure you share the love,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And I think nowadays a lot of people, they maybe forgot what kids is all about, because the kids, they need love. Okay, I'm not there very often, but it doesn't matter what time I come home. 6 a.m. You have to wake up. I come home at 2, it's fine. I wake up at 6. I come home at 12. Okay, it's fine. I have a few more hours of sleep. But 6 o'clock, you wake up, I shower him, I make him breakfast, and I send you to the school, because that is the most valuable 2 hours of my day. Because then I can spend time with him. Right? Okay, he's at school, and then we can go. I go to the restaurant. That's very important. So that is
A lot of I think a lot of chefs don't, because I used to think that the more I work, the more efficient I become and the more I get done. But that's actually really wrong mentality. It's like the job is so demanding in itself, mentally, physically. You need to make sure that whatever you do outside of your work, you gear yourself up.
Yeah.
Go for the walk. For me, I do yoga. I make sure that my shit's in order. So when I go to work and the whatever hour it is, I maximize. It's like almost telling a commie, you have 3 hours.
yeah.
I'm sorry, you have 10 jobs. You can either do the 10 jobs in 1 hour, or you can do the 10 jobs in 5. It's the same job. Just because you're doing it in 5 hours, or you spend all day, all night in your restaurant, it doesn't mean that you're being efficient, and it doesn't mean that you're doing more. It's like the fact that you have a routine, you do what you do. When you get to work, you are able to give more to work.
Yeah. So it's like that. I'm very. My head chef always say, okay, but how you close the book when you go home? When I drive home, it takes me 15 minutes. I open the door, I shut.
Yeah.
Restaurant privacy immediately. And that is give me peace at home, because okay, Monday is okay. I do office at home, but as soon as I come home in the night, it's done. So that is how I can reflect back on. Okay, what
I need to learn to do that.
it's not easy.
I still struggle. I still struggle.
When I go home, when I drive home, or it depends on what mood I am. I listen music, I listen to podcast. Now I'm listening to a podcast about Hermes.
Oh yeah.
And it's an eye opener.
Oh really?
I never listen to podcasts. My CEO shared me the podcast about Hermes, because we talk about exclusive brands, how we want to reflect on that. He said, listen, Hermes. And how they become from somebody like nobody, an immigrant in France, to what they are now. And it's pretty impressive.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I only listen to one podcast, and it's what this podcast is around based on.
Yeah.
It's Diary of a CEO. He's British, and he talks about business, life, psychology, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It was life-changing for me. So
But it helps me to clear
absolutely
the head.
It sees you, it sees you in a different perspective,
Yeah. So.
I know that you have I want to talk about the health of a chef. I mean, do you because I feel like it's our industry, people do not take care of themselves enough.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if you can draw a graph of happy, fulfilled chefs and online, and then you could draw the graph of like their health, I think it correlates. You know. Do you agree with that? Do you I mean, like, I know that you have a routine that you exercise, you go outdoors. When you were burnt out, did you also exercise or no?
No.
And do you think that there was a big difference between the two, that and now?
I think physically, so of course we get a little bit older, right? So, and I still really like to work, and I want to do it for as long as I can, but you need to take care of your body. And I think after you have that, you kind of realize, okay, if I don't take care of it, you cannot do what you like to do the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just physically, okay, but it's also mentally. And especially now, because we have an open kitchen, so mentally you get tired so much faster.
Yes.
Because the people watching you every single minute.
That's true. Open kitchens are tiring, man.
Yeah,
mentally,
so
it's like,
first of all, I thought, okay, it was fine, back, but there's no moment to hide.
You can't be like your phone.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the football?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. So I think that's started me to realize that not just for myself, but also for my team, I need to take care. So what we try to, every 3 months, we say, okay, you work for 3 months, and then at least you need to take a long weekend. So you get 2 extra days off. So you can relax. You can reset, and then you come back. So that's what we try to do for them. But as for myself, when you get to a point that you feel like, okay, how can I clear my head to make sure that physically I'm still in a good shape and I can perform every single day? yeah, that is where you start to understand, okay, what I can do. For me, it's walking. You know, for other people, it's yoga. For other people, is swimming, surfing. I don't know, but it has to be something to do where you can switch off your brain and just go out in the nature.
Nature helps.
Nature helps.
I never understood that until I was much older.
Yeah.
Because obviously growing up in Phuket and PP, I was surrounded by nature.
Yeah.
I took it for granted. And when I went to the UK, the first place I lived was on the Isle of Wight, which is also an island.
Yeah.
Full of nature. It's a countryside. Only when I went to London and I was living underground, I was working underground, and I never saw the light of day for 6 years. And then, you know, and then you go on a holiday, and then you go to PP, and then you go to, and you're like, oh my God, just being surrounded by the trees and hearing it. I don't know what it is about nature, and I'm not going to go into chakra and energy and all that, but there is just something, I think, instinctively in human beings that you need to make sure that you need it. It's not an added bonus. It's a necessity to have a healthy life, to have a fulfilled life, and a calm mind. You need to make sure that you get your dose of nature and sunlight.
Yeah.
You know, once.
That's why sometimes when I feel terrible, is we go to the beach and you sit at the beach, play football with my son, and when you come back, you're like newborn.
Yeah, I just went to Chiang Mai in a wedding because right now I'm working 7 days.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot. Michelle said to me on the plane to Chiang Mai, you know, she's like, you know, we've taken 3 holidays this year. 3 of them have been around weddings.
Yeah.
One of them was ours. One was in Kuching, which was her friend.
Yeah.
This one in Chiang Mai is our friend. And she's like, if we didn't have these 3 weddings, you would have not taken a holiday this year.
Yeah.
And then I looked at her. I'm like, no. And then I look back at my phone. I'm like, fuck.
That's true. Yeah.
And I'm just like, how did we let it get to this?
Yeah.
Because we've always been careful about work-life balance. And she's very, very good at that. Sundays are day off, Mondays are day off. No one touches no one. And when she gets to work, she like goes full out. Me, I'm more like I work all the time kind of guy.
Yeah.
And on the plane ride to Chiang Mai, she was like, can you make me a promise? 3 days we're there. Can you please not do any work? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And honestly, it was so weird in the beginning. I was like, why? And then it made me realize how I was not present with her at all. And 3 days in Chiang Mai, like for the first time, we had breakfast. I never eat breakfast.
Yeah.
We had breakfast at Intercontinental. We were sitting in the garden. And I was like, this is so nice.
It's amazing.
She's like, yeah. I'm like, doing nothing is nice.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, what the fuck have you been? I'm like, oh my God, this is like... And it was just like sitting there with coffee, breakfast, and we were in the nature, and I was like... And then when it's finished, like when we got back on the plane yesterday, I said to her, like, okay, can I have 1 hour at the airport? Can I work for 1 hour at the airport? And I did, and I was just so much more efficient.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And then it's like... And then even though I already knew it, it was a clear indication again of how important it is to take a break.
Yeah.
And you don't take a break because you're weak or you're not a hard worker. You take a break because you're smart and you're self-aware that taking a break means that you can do more of what you want. Like you said, forcing time on yourself is not a sign of weakness, but it's actually a very clever strategy to do so you can do more of what you love for longer.
Yeah. And that's why we every year we do 1 month. We take holiday 1 month.
1 whole month?
Yeah, 1 month. 4 weeks. I go back to Europe 4 weeks.
Fucking hell. And you close the restaurant?
No, you stay open.
Oh, you stay open. Okay.
So what we do, the team can choose. You get 1 month holiday. Mm-hmm. You can choose to split it in 3, but you need at least 1 time 2 weeks, because 1 week you cannot rest.
Oh, you force them
to take at least 2 weeks, and then the rest you can split out whatever you want. Or you take 1 time 1 month, it's also fine for me. Or you take 2 weeks and 2 weeks, also fine. Or 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 week is also fine.
Fucking hell, man. If I had my time, I'd probably go work at Peru. It's like...
Of course, it all sounds nice, but sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But
yeah. But at least you try. At least at least you think about it. You know.
Yeah, because I know when I go 1 month, the first 2 weeks I'm dead. You know, because your body is done. I lay on the sofa. My mom cooks dinner. We have a nice glass of wine in the garden, and then after 3 weeks, I look at my wife. Can I work a little bit?
As a kid, you take that for granted, you know, sitting on a sofa with no responsibilities and just watching TV and having something to eat with your family.
Yeah.
As a kid, I'm just like, this is so fucking boring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be better than what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And and then when you grow up, you're like, oh my god, my parents were fucking geniuses.
Yeah.
They prioritize our well-being so much that,
Yeah.
and it's such a luxury. Luxury isn't flying first class,
No.
having one event after another and being everywhere, and luxury is being able to have a choice,
Yeah.
mind and body, to do nothing and be okay with it.
And sometimes it's good to be bored, right?
Yeah.
You have to be bored sometimes, because otherwise, if you're never bored.
Yeah. And like you say, appreciation. You appreciate things more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure. That's very important.
And it was what I said I think with Garima, it's like people have this confusion in life about being a correlation of happiness and things that you have and things that you experience. It gets up to a certain point, and I'm not simplifying a very complicated subject by saying that you don't need money. You do need money, and happiness correlates with money. Yeah, unfortunately, correlates with money up to a certain point. But happiness, real happiness, is about not getting things. It's about earning things.
Yeah.
And like perspective of how you become happy. Like and earning something is so much better than getting it.
Yeah.
I feel.
That's for sure. That's for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah. And that's what I said about my son. You need to earn it.
Yeah.
Right? The same as how I've been taught.
It's true.
You
It's
need to
true.
earn it.
If you give him 300 baht,
Yeah.
and for him, when that upgrade comes, whatever it is, he will appreciate that extra 150 so much more.
Yeah.
Because he had to live with the
Do something.
150.
Yeah.
And even though face value is exactly the same, like you give him 300 now, you give him 300 later, it's still the same. But his perception of value is something. Look, first of all, thank you so much for your time, Jim. It has been an absolute honor and I hope you enjoyed your podcast.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed
I think
the
it was
conversation.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was very
can't wait to
nice.
come see you at Peru, man. I really, really have.
Then one more thing, it doesn't matter if you want to do on camera, but every year when Pru's birthday on 1st of November, we invite some friends.
Okay.
So we'd like to see if you want to join us for next year.
Of course.
So
I'll put it down in my calendar now.
Dinner at Pru.
Dinner at
1
Peru?
or 2 nights.
Cook at Peru?
Cook at Pru.
Yeah.
Because we realize inviting people we don't know in our kitchen is going to be a complete disaster.
Oh, dude, you just did it with Tom, right?
We did with Tom, and it was amazing. Now I thought, okay, and I talked with my head chef. He said, well, why not ask Top?
Yeah, oh, dude, I've cooked in Phuket before, but never in a Michelin-starred restaurant, and not since we had a star.
Yeah.
And, dude, it'll be an honor. Oh my God, it'll be such an honor.
And I think it's great, and we just cook and make fun.
Oh, dude, it'll be so much fun.
So.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor and a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. Really, really.
Yeah. There are not many chefs I get along with very fast, but I think the passionate way of how you stay in life, I think is.
I really respect what you have created for Phuket as a fan, and I really as a chef, I really respect that the journey you've been on, even just from today, you have really survived through the struggles that a lot of people would have given up. Yeah. And I know, and I look, we've never shared a kitchen together, but I can just tell from talking to you that you are a bit like me. You have a fire. You're like, let's go. And I love that you take your job very seriously, but at the same time, you know that you're mature enough to know that life and your direction of life has other meanings.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're a family man, and you should definitely do a cooking show with your son one day. So adorable.
Many people tell me that. Yeah.